Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let me take you back to a time when a self-proclaimed genius tried to boss around a seasoned team of professionals, and let's just say things didn't quite go as planned. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like if you enjoy the content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a juicy story. Colleague thinks she's the big boss. This happened a few years ago. I was working for a company doing special projects that had to do with building certain products. One Friday evening, I get a call from the CFO. This guy never called me before. I didn't even know he had my number. Who liked playing at project management sometimes. He tells me there's been a huge F-up in a project. I asked him if it was a project I was involved in. No, it had nothing to do with me, and they desperately needed people to come in on Saturday and Sunday and work because this project needs to be delivered to the customer on Monday morning, and would I be able to go? I say sure. In this company, any work on Saturday and Sunday was overtime from the first minute, and the overtime rate was very good. He told me I'd be joined by 5 of my colleagues, almost all of them a delight to work with, and one more person that's also a colleague but has all the information regarding this project, so she would lead it and tell us what's needed to be done. Let's call her wannabe genius boss lady. In a cynical way, of course. She's not in any way, shape, or form a genius, or genius in short. Everybody working on this project has at least 3 years experience in the company. Some have more than 10, so there wasn't any need for a babysitter. This fact matters for the rest of the story. Saturday morning rolls around and I get to location. We all meet and have some coffee and homemade cookies that my wife made for us. Genius comes in, asks us to gather around, and explains that the project was done wrong from the get-go. The company spent hundreds of man-hours on it, and it was all done wrong. And we 5 have to, in 2 days, work not only disassemble everything that was done, but redo it from scratch in the correct manner, which not only involved putting it back together, but also refabricating parts that were done wrong. Then she goes on to say, in these exact words, "I'm the boss, you do what I say. I have all the schematics in my head. If you don't know something, ask me, and I'll tell you how to do it." We all look at each other with a puzzled look, but just shrug our shoulders. Then she quickly, and I mean quickly, laid down some rules that she wants us to follow. Stupid things that just interfere with our jobs, but no one actually caught all of them. So we start working. Like I said, we're all experienced. We work in another facility that the company owns, and we're brought especially to fix this facility's F-up. All through the job, Genius does nothing except get in our way, asking stupid questions, drinking coffee, taking smoke breaks, treating people badly, and making up stupid rules as she goes. At some point, the CFO comes in and starts talking to me, and in the conversation he says these words: "No matter what, no one works overtime. No more than 12 hours a day, no matter what." Because it's a Saturday, the rules allow us to work up to 12 hours, but more than that, and the company can get fined. Genius promises the CFO that the job will be done no matter what within those 2 days of 12 hours. Saturday's work is done after 12 hours. We all say goodbye and leave, coming back the next day. We get to work again with her making the atmosphere worse and worse by the minute, not trusting us when we say we're going to do something, hovering over us and generally being a nuisance. As the day goes, we can see that we're not going to make it on time. We try to tell her, but she's adamant that this will be done on time. I tried to explain to her a few times that seeing how much work there is and her insisting we do not use automated tools, it's not possible to finish this in the 5 or 6 hours we have left. There was a lot more crap that she pulled, but I won't name all of it to save time on this already long story, and maybe try to keep a bit of anonymity just in case someone recognizes this story. She won't hear it. She says the job will be done. I'm like, whatever, dude. I'm just going to do what I can since you won't listen. 1 hour before end of day comes around, we've all been working for 11 hours. Genius finally realizes this isn't going to work. She calls a real project manager, her friend, and starts talking to him. I hear her talking on the phone, and she's blaming us for not working fast enough or whatever, and tells him she promised the CFO to have this done. I'm assuming she was betting on riding this success into a promotion or something, and she doesn't know what to do. Then she walks out of the building and continues talking out of earshot. After a few minutes of conversation, she comes back in, all guns blazing, and tells us to round up again so she can talk to us. With fire in her eyes, she goes, "Okay, you," points at Guy, "don't leave until this," points at one part of the project, "isn't done. You," points at me, "don't leave until that," another part, "is done." And continues doing this until she counted off everybody. And then she walks off. I'm assuming for a coffee or smoke break or whatever. Exactly 12 hours after arriving, we all put down our tools and start heading out the door. She is shocked, asking us, "Where are you going?" We all say, "We're going home. We've been here for 12 hours. She says, "I told you that none of you leave until your parts are finished and tested." To which we reply, "No more than 12 hours, no matter what." And we leave. Later on, I found out that she stayed by herself until 4 in the morning to finish it all by herself. She couldn't do it and had to go home as well. Her project manager friend came in on morning to help her finish the job. The project was late, customer came in to pick it up and wasn't happy to see it still not packaged and ready to go. Just as a side note, with the exception of Genius, I've known each of the people working on this project for a few years. All of them would have gladly stayed longer to help finish the project. They've done so many times in the past when called upon, if she didn't treat us so badly. We made sure to make management aware of this, and she was never given another opportunity to manage anything. With no experience, skill, or talent, new manglers always try to put their own stink on projects so they can claim all the credit. Glad you didn't enable this one. And our second story. You want me to get the attention of your husband's CO? It's your funeral. So over the past few days, I've become friends with a retired Army officer that I'll call Belle. She's been delighting me with stories of her service, and she shared this wonderful story that I think you'll all enjoy. Belle was a young second lieutenant at her first posting. As she put it, "My college diploma hadn't even arrived in the mail, and I was scared as hell. Fortunately, she got on the NCO's good side and settled in pretty nicely. One afternoon, she was at work when in storms an officer's wife, looking like she was in the mood to cause hell. Belle keeps her head down, tries to stay busy when she hears the dreaded words, 'I'm talking to you, soldier.' Belle looked up and saw the woman, let's call her Karen because why not, standing in front of her. 'Can I help you, ma'am?' Belle asked. 'Yeah, I'm Major Mick I'm So Important's wife, and I need to speak to Colonel Stone.' 'Do you have an appointment?' 'He's busy,' Belle asked. 'Just go get him. I'll stand right here until you do.' Belle looks around, wondering what the hell she's supposed to do. She didn't want to risk her job because Colonel Stone was known around the base for having a fierce temper. 'I'll have you knocked back down to private if you don't do as I say,' Karen shouts. 'Now move.' Wanting to get away, Belle got up and walked towards the colonel's office, intending to get away for a long enough coffee break that Karen will forget. When she looked back, she sees Karen's watching her like a hawk, so there goes that plan. Colonel Stone's door is closed, and Belle knocks on the door. 'Yes,' Colonel Stone barked. 'Sir, it's Second Lieutenant Belle Smith,' she said. 'Come in.' Belle opens the door, does the customary salute, and he immediately notices how nervous she is. 'What is it?' 'Major Mick I'm So Important's wife is here, and she wants to speak to you,' Belle said, her voice squeaking. 'Does she have an appointment?' 'She just said to go get you, and she wouldn't leave until you saw her.' 'I see. Did she threaten to knock you down to private?' 'She did.' Colonel Stone nodded and then said in a voice that scared Belle, 'Send her in.' Belle salutes and then goes back to Karen. Karen looks absolutely smug. 'He'll see you now,' Belle said. 'See, that wasn't so hard, was it?' Karen said, strolling over to the colonel's office. It's at this point that a first sergeant named Sanders comes in. He just sits down, and as the office door closes, he counts in a low voice, 3, 2, 1. 'What the hell were you thinking?' Colonel Stone shouted. For a good 5 minutes, he proceeded to tear Karen a new butthole, telling her that she isn't permitted to wear her husband's rank, and that if she tries pulling anything like that ever again, her husband will be busted down to private faster than he could sneeze. Karen left the office like a bat out of hell, white as a sheet and quaking. Belle never saw her again, but she and the major got divorced shortly afterwards. According to Belle, he realized what a liability she'd be to his career. Unfortunately, this is not an isolated event. There are way too many officers' wives that have the mistaken belief that they have the same rank and authority as their husbands. And our last story. Neighbor claims to own my backyard. In 2015, my husband and I were thrilled to buy a house in Denver, complete with a charming backyard that we loved. The backyard was a huge selling point, highlighted in the listing as great for entertaining all your guests. It was a place where our kids could play and we could unwind after long days. Fast forward to 2020, a new neighbor moved in next door. We didn't think much of it until recently when they suddenly claimed that a 500 square foot portion of our beloved backyard actually belonged to them. And they didn't just claim it, they slapped us with a $66,000 price tag if we wanted to keep it. It turns out their dad is a retired property line lawyer, and they've been coming at us with all sorts of legal jargon and documents trying to intimidate us into giving in. But here's the thing. We bought this house under the clear assumption that the backyard was ours. Our property appraisal includes that exact piece of land, and the listing clearly mentioned the backyard as a feature. The timing couldn't be worse. We're trying to move and we're planning to sell the house, but now we're stuck in this ugly property dispute. As the sole income earner for our family of 5, there's no way we can just shell out $66,000 to resolve this. To make matters worse, our title company, which we trusted and paid extra for extended coverage, is now refusing to help. We feel completely cornered with no clear way out of this mess. But we weren't about to let them win so easily. We dug into our documents, spoke with some legal professionals, and soon found a crucial piece of evidence, a discrepancy in the neighbor's claim. It turns out that the property line they were relying on was outdated and didn't reflect the actual boundaries established after our purchase. So we sent a strong rebuttal through our lawyer. When the neighbor's dad caught wind of our findings, he realized their case was weaker than they thought. After some tense back and forth, they dropped their demands entirely. Not only that, but our title company, likely spurred into action by the threat of legal exposure, finally stepped in to affirm that our ownership of the backyard was valid and protected. In the end, we got to keep our backyard without paying a dime to the evil neighbor. We were able to list our house for sale and move on, free from the headache they tried to bring into our lives. Also, they're lucky we don't sue them for fraud. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.